Thank you. Jonathan Irwin is a founder of Jack and Jill charity. You know them, very high-profile charity here in Ireland. Retired in January, so I wish him all the best in his retirement. Good morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning to you, Colin. Good morning.
Listen, thanks for taking our call. We're talking to people about the HPV vaccine. As I'm sure you know, in the papers this morning, Tony O'Brien, he's the HSE boss.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay, now he's saying that the critics of this vaccine are using terror tactics. He says anybody who opposes the cervical jab, the HPV vaccine, is engaging in emotional terrorism. What does he mean by that?
Well, what does he mean? He's head of the health board, and he attacks parents in that way. The word terrorist is simply unacceptable in conversation now. And to attack these desperate families, of which I am one, Matty McGrath has issued a press release saying the man must resign. What did he think he was saying yesterday? There's no doubt in my mind. My daughter was riding for the Irish pony team, got vaccinated, and 6 weeks later was so ill and in such pain, she's never been on a horse since. She has been she's had a whole teenage life ripped away from her by the side effects. And it's ludicrous of the HSE to say, it's coincidental. What you must ask the man from the HSE or the woman that comes on it, why did they suppress the Merck pill, the information for patients? If you and I or your listeners went to a chemist and we bought some pills in a box and we opened the box and the pill wasn't there, the pamphlet wasn't there, we go straight back to the chemist and say, what's going on here? Why has this been taken? How dare they suppress? The reason they gave me that they suppressed the Merck Sharp Dome, they said that as most parents are illiterate, we wouldn't be able to understand the pamphlet.
What?
Well, yes, absolutely. What? Everything about this HSE campaign has been what? It is so falsified. It's disgraceful. I've never seen a situation, and with 20 years of Jack and Jill, I had to work with the HSE a lot. I never saw anything like this. I'm a good friend of Simon Harris. He was in the Senate with my wife, Marianne O'Brien. Mm-hmm. And for him to come out and vilify the parents, call us scaremongers, call us hysterics, call us illiterate, and Tony O'Brien yesterday saying we're terrorists. What is this about? I hope the vaccine is a very good one for the majority of girls. I hope it does prevent an awful form of cancer. No doubt about that. But it has totally destroyed my darling daughter's life. She's had to go. We had to send her to a clinic in Germany for 3 weeks. We then had to send her to a clinic in America for 3 weeks. And it is only now that her bloods are coming right. It is only now that her immune system, they have nearly repaired the damage that Gardasil did. And just let's go back to Merck, who are very open. There's a menu in their pamphlet which the HSE suppressed to send out their own one, which is a totally incorrect thing to do. But the menu details every single side effect that my daughter, and I suspect a lot of the other girls, got. So what is going on here? This is not an Irish problem. This is right around the world. The uptake in Japan down to 1%. Israelis up in arms. The American government have already paid out over $6 million in damages. What are we doing here? Your last caller, strange enough, talked about fluoride. It's the same thing again. We are the only country, the Republic is the only country in Europe that allows fluoride. What do we know in Ireland that nobody else knows? Why are we using fluoride? It's just the same here with Gardasil. There is a worldwide problem. Merck have told us there can be side effects. And when a child has side effects and the desperate mother says, help to the HSE, why are they called terrorists? Explain that to me.
It's shocking language, I have to say. I'm flabbergasted. We've spoken to quite a few concerned parents. Now, that's what I would call them. Concerned parents about their daughters in this situation, who they believe who have been affected by this. They're not... I don't think they have an agenda. Now, I'm reading between the lines from the HSE here, from Tony O'Brien. What agenda do people have being against this vaccine, or people who are looking for information and correct, transparent information, what agenda do they have?
I know. I so agree with you. I mean, there is an organisation of very concerned mothers that came together at some stage, and they go under the name of Regret. Mm-hmm. What happens to them? They are vilified from the spa down to the basement. I mean, as you so rightly say, what did the HSE think? Suddenly, a coven of witches called mothers appeared in Ireland and got together to attack Gardasil, Merck, and the HSE. Mm. It's not intellectually even feasible. I mean, these are desperate mothers. You heard the very last speaker, such a good speaker. That is exactly what the mothers of Ireland are trying to say to the HSE. And, hopefully this is a good vaccine. But, there are now beginning to be one or two schoolmasters, principals, coming out and saying, parents, just beware. Think about it seriously. If you look at the Merck pamphlet, the very first line says, please read this pamphlet very, very carefully before you decide to vaccinate your child. Mm. And that's being denied us.
That pamphlet from the drugs, the vaccine maker, was not given to people prior to administering the vaccine.
No. And when poor darling our daughter was vaccinated, who I am glad to say, thanks to the clinics in Germany and America, actually went back to school this Monday. It was the first time in many years. She missed her junior cert. She hasn't picked up a hockey stick, a tennis stick. She hasn't swum. She hasn't even hit a golf ball since this nightmare of Gardasil was visited on us all. And what I can't understand is Harris is a good man. Mm. Why did he not call for an independent review? There is a problem. It may be only a small problem, but the families that have seen their daughter nearly destroyed in wheelchairs, oh my God. We've been through hell with this poor little child, and why won't they call for a review? There is a problem, and stop attacking us. We're only the messengers. We are trying to say, as parents, to the HSE, you are peddling a vaccine that may be good. We don't know that yet. It's not proven. But please understand there is a problem. And these parents, as you so rightly say, have not come together to be tiresome. They've come together because they're desperate. And Harris, I don't think any of the girls have been examined by anybody. GPs don't want to know about it. The Irish Cancer Society, which is suddenly leading this campaign, has received a donation of 200,000 from Merck. No, they deserve it because it's a wonderful charity. But it's conflict of interest, maybe. It's just strange.
Well, you mentioned the Irish Cancer Society. I know that I think it may have been early this year or late last year. I mean, we're out questioning the agenda of some of the parents that we spoke to on Regret. Now, that's why I asked Annette, who I spoke to just prior to you, Jonathan. I asked, are you a part of a group? No, she's not. She's just a regular citizen. And nor are you. But I know that the Irish Cancer Society, one of the doctors there now, he's not a medical doctor, he's an academic doctor, was out on Twitter calling into question the agenda of some of the parents at Regret, saying that there was some kind of religious fanaticism.
Oh, I know. I wrote to his CEO and said, you've got to stop this man. He's damaging your charity and he's making an idiot of himself. How dare he say things? Those parents need help, not hatred.
But when I asked them to come on the radio about this, when I asked them to clarify the tweet, they wouldn't. They ran for the hills. So I asked them, what agenda do you mean? But let's be explicit about this. If you're calling into question the people who are against this vaccine, if you're calling their character, their morals, their agenda into question, be explicit in what you mean. Let us know what the problem is. Let us know what their problem is. Or, why are they so against it? What is the ulterior motive? Please tell me.
And they can't.
No,
I mean, for my, I do not, I don't, sticks and stones will break your bones, the words will never have. But I do not. I know Tony O'Brien. I've done a lot of work with him, with Jack and Jill, and he's been very helpful. But I am simply appalled by him calling my wife, who is a former senator, independent senator, and myself, emotional terrorists. I mean, I want him to apologise publicly. It's just, and forget us, forget the Irwins, but what about all the other families that he's hurt to the core. And this is typical of the HSE campaign. I mean, how many of us actually trust the HSE administration? It's known to be dysfunctional. You know, the people who work with my nurses are top rate, but by God, I mean, when you read the nurses are not joining and we get more and more managers every week, they did not say. And now we're going to believe the HSE when, as your last caller said, she knows her daughter. I know my daughter. And for the HSE to say, oh, you know, it's ME, it is absolutely not ME. And what's so ironic is that Ireland was the last country to recognise ME as an affliction back in the 90s. I mean, the whole of this campaign, what's it costing apart from anything else? What is it costing? You can't turn on the radio, you can't do television, everything. And yours is the first program, I would suggest, that has allowed people from the other side of the counter who are not convinced by the HSE, who know what they're saying is virtual rubbish. They talk about the European, medical zone force. That's under investigation at this very moment. I got sent the other day a report from the Irish Medicals Board for the years 2010 to 2012. That's the first 2 years of this vaccine. Every single reported problem, it ran to no less than 43 double-sided pages. Now, some of them were sorted out very quickly, but an awful lot became iller and iller. And so why are they trying to fool us? Do they have some deal with Merck? I don't know. Why will they not talk to the parents?
I mean, I think that's the least they can do. I mean, if there's at least an issue there, if there's worries, if there are concerns, the least they can do is address them. And not vilify the parents. Listen, thank you, Jonathan, for that. Stay in touch. Jonathan Irwin, founder of Jack and Dill and retired in January. I hope you're enjoying your retirement, are you?
Oh, I tell you, I wish I'd done it 75 years ago.
And Molly, she just finally on your daughter, I mean, she received that vaccine when?
Must be when she was 12, 13, and she hasn't been well since. And as I say, has never sat on a horse, hit a golf ball, picked up a hockey stick. She's been bedridden for over a year. But now, thanks to the clinics abroad, which is so sad we have to go abroad.
Not everybody can, No,
but this is what's so unfair. Not everybody can. And instead of anybody listening to them, they're just told they are emotional terrorists. I must say, it is, if I was Tony O'Brien, I would hang my head in shame. And I'll tell you about the fellow or girl or whatever it is coming from the HSE. It was always the same script. What a terrible thing it is, cervical cancer. We all agree about that. And this vaccination is going to may get rid of it. It's probably safe. They never actually say what it's going to do. And then they'll go on to say people like Marianne and myself are completely disgraceful and we don't know anything and our child has got ME. They're just talking rubbish. Not one doctor, not one of these people that come on all these shows has ever rung me to say, may we come and see Molly? Can we examine her? It's just, I mean, if it wasn't happening, it'd be a nightmare. But it is happening, and it is a total nightmare. And thank God Molly's got back to school, but she's still lethargic. She is still, her bloods are much better, but her memory loss is still there. And I think it'll take some years before we're clear of it.
Okay.
And just the result, the thing of our National Health Board is to rubbish the parents who are trying to give them a very serious message.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much.
Good morning to you. Bye-bye. Mark says, well done, Colin. At least we know where you stand on this vaccine. It's the most one-sided debate I have heard on this vaccine. Congrats. You're supposed to be neutral, says Mark. I am supposed to be neutral, Mark, and I will be talking to the HSE, and I'll give them an opportunity to get their point across regarding the HPV vaccine. And I will also, if anybody has taken the vaccine, or indeed their children have taken the vaccine and they are have no side effects, etc., I ask them to get in touch. What I'm talking about, Mark, is actually just really respect, really, for people, and to give them a voice. Okay, I'm not talking about a one-sided debate. If you think I'm one-sided, that's fine. I would invite you to get in touch, certainly, and if you'd like to promote the vaccine, the floor is yours. 1850 104 106. And as I said, I will have somebody from the HSE later on. They've launched a HPV vaccination program, an information campaign. But Mark, you know, when there's people who call this program, right, and they say they come on the air to share their stories, I have to listen to them. I'm not going to say you're completely wrong, you're mad, you're crazy, you're wearing a tinfoil hat, you don't know what you're talking about, and you should just, instead of speaking up, you should just shut up and listen to the HSE and just do what you're told. I'm not going to do that, you know, so I will invite anybody out there who would have a different opinion. Absolutely, give us a call, 1850 104 106, Mark, and I'd invite you to do the same, but I have a feeling you won't. And you can text me to 0868 104 106,